Hi, it's Joan from Women of the Woods Adventure Tours, and I'm here today to do a little video on what I carry in my backpack for a 2-day trip out into the backcountry. So we're just going to go through some of the, or actually all the gear that I carry, and we'll start off with the, this is my Trekker 40-liter backpack. It's a frameless pack. There's no rigidity to it. It does have a few little comfort spots on the back just to make it a little comfortable to carry. It does have a waist belt, lots of pockets I can put all my gear into. I've had it about 6 years now and it suits me quite well. I carry along a couple extra carabiners just in case for attaching a few extra items, whatever, along the way. Next up, I've got my featherweight puffy jacket. It's just a Joe brand. It was like a $20 down jacket, but it does the job of adding an insulation layer, and it's warm and packs up fairly small. You can tell, it's not overly big. So anyway, that's my warm layer. Next up, I've got my Frogg Toggs rain suit, and again, lightweight, durable, does the job, keeps me dry, even in some pretty torrential rainstorms. Next up is my cooking kit here, laid out. Let's start off with my windscreen, which is just a piece of aluminum flashing that I cut to put around the pot. It's a steel pot. I'm not sure the size of it. I think it's about 1 liter. And the lid for it. I have my steel Sierra cup, 8 ounces of alcohol fuel for the stove, a folding bowl, nothing special, a spork, a lighter, a magnesium block with the strike edge on it, the Fancy Feast stove, pretty easy to make. It's a tomato paste can, a Fancy Feast cat food can, and some fiberglass insulation stuck in between it. Some notches cut down in the bottom there for the fuel to flow through, and an air hole here for it, when you have the pot on. Don't need a pot stand with it, so it's nice. Burns really well. Never had any problems with it. It'll boil that pot of water in about 3 minutes for me, so I think that's pretty great. I use just it's an old lid off a cookie can for just a protection layer on the ground in case you spill a little fuel when you're filling it. And in the winter time, you actually do have to put a little bit of fuel around the edge here to prime it, just so you get a better burn off of it. And that'll protect the ground and the table or whatever you happen to have it sitting on. Next up, I have a first aid kit. It primarily contains mostly blister preventative stuff and treatments, some moleskin, some band-aids, some antiseptic wipes, Tylenol, that kind of things. Nothing really major. It's just a small little kit for a couple days. Next up, my Sawyer Mini filter. I substituted a different syringe than what they supply. The other one is quite big and bulky, so I went down with a smaller syringe for black flushing it. A collection bag, and you just pump it through the filter into your water bottle and you're good to go. I've used it now for about 3 years instead of a Sweetwater filter, which I used to carry, and I really like the Sawyer. It's nice and small, takes up hardly any room in your bag. Next up, we'll go over some other little items. I've got a notepad and pen, my watch, an air horn just in case for bear preventative. Never had to use it in all my 45 plus years of hiking in the backcountry, knock wood. I have my compass, which I would also have the map of the area that I'm hiking in, a whistle, which I would attach to my backpack. I have another fire steel and a striker, a small multi-tool. This is the multi-tool Leap. A nice little smaller multi-tool, comes in handy. My toothbrush, my toothpaste, my dental floss, and just a small folding knife. Oops. Let's just flick that one open. Just a small little folding knife, nothing special, but it gets the job done of having to, cut any cord or shave off some shavings to start a fire, whatever you need it for. I've got a small container of sunblock and a small one of insect repellent as well. The only thing I would add in here too would be a small spray bottle of Deep Woods Off, just for misting pant legs and jackets around your neck, etc., instead of the cream-based one. I have my Petzl headlamp, which I've had for a long time. I really like her. A small flashlight as well that I carry, just in case one happens to fail, or you want to keep the flashlight hanging in the hammock while you're walking around. Makes it easier to locate your hammock in the dark if you happen to be out and about sometimes too, if you lose your headlamp. A small dry bag that I put all my food into, a couple carabiners, a small pulley. I've got about 150 feet of paracord. This is 550 paracord, and a small thing of, I think it's 325 cord. And I use that just with my just for a clothesline or something like that, where I don't want to use the heavier cord. I've got my food here for 2 days. I've got some jerky, a couple Cliff Bars, some tea, some coffee, some whitener, some drink crystals, some sugar in there, thanks to McDonald's. This is a bag of trail mix, a couple meals, and some breakfast items, some oatmeal. And then I have my water bottle, which I would have with me. My toilet kit is about half a roll of toilet paper, some hand sanitizer, and a small package of wet wipes, just for doing a little bit of a wipe up if you need to. It's nice if you want to freshen up if you've been sweating really heavy in the summer. I have a full bug jacket and a separate head net, just in case you only want to wear the head net. So that's my bug protection. Next up, I've got my tree hugger straps for my hammock. These I think are 10 feet. It's probably enough for most applications that I've had. I think there was only once where I needed an extra piece, and I just used a small piece of paracord to extend it. I have my hammock from TBA, Totally Big Adventures, I believe it is. And this is a 9.5, almost 10-foot hammock. It has the integrated bug net already, so it's my summer hammock. My winter hammock, I have a 11-foot homemade hammock that I use. But this is my summer, spring, fall hammock for bug protection. I've had it now for about 5 years, I believe, and I love it. It's never failed me yet. It weighs about a pound, a little less than a pound, so not a bad deal there weight-wise. I would bring along my Klymit Static V insulated underpad for as an insulation layer for cooler weather in the hammock. I have an 8x10 tarp that I bring, a few small ground stakes, they're just the short little ones, and a couple tarp clips for securing the tarp as well. Next up, I'd have for my underquilt protection and as a wind protection for my hammock. This is a Coughlin's heavyweight thermal blanket. It has the reflective inner layer, and I've rigged it up to go underneath my hammock as a underquilt. And it does a great job. Protects you from any rain splashing up. It's good wind protection, and the bugs can't bite through it as well. So I use that all the time in my hammock, unless I happen to be bringing my small down underquilt. It's a little bit more bulky, but for longer trips I would bring it, just because then I would have extra pack space in my larger pack for a multi-day trip. But for a 2-day trip, that's what I bring, just a Coughlin's blanket. And then I have my 2.5 pound down sleeping bag, and I use that for cover up. I use it as a quilt, so I just tuck my feet into the zipped up bottom and just tuck it in around me. I don't use it as a sleeping bag per se in my hammock. More just same as a top quilt. But I'm too cheap to buy a top quilt, so, and it's just out of my budget range to buy a small top quilt, and that one does me fine. So that's about it. The only other thing I would add here would be a pair of long pants and a long shirt, just to have, and some extra socks and maybe an extra pair of underwear. But again, this all fits into my pack. The total weight here, without the water bottle being filled and the food included, is, for everything you see here, is 17 pounds. So I figure for 2 days out, it gives me everything I need, plus probably a little bit more. I know some people wouldn't bring redundancy of lighters and strikes, but I like to have the redundancy. If one fails or you lose one, then you're not stuck. Same with the headlamps and flashlights. Some people would only bring one or the other, but I like to bring both. That's just me. So anyway, hope this gives you an idea of what you'd need to take out into the backcountry with you. If you have any questions or concerns, or want to find out a little bit more about what I take, just drop me an email and I'll try and answer your questions. If you like the video, please click like in the little like box. And if you have any comments, please do leave them in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you subscribe to our channel, and hopefully someday we'll see you out there on the trails, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.